Welcome to American History Notes. I'm going to talk about some conclusions I've drawn from my study of American history. Doesn't mean that they're 100% correct, or maybe I could be in error, but the important thing is that you study these events, you know about these people and these trends, and it's just important to know about American history, especially for Americans. So we'll start, and we're continuing with my discussion of Roger Williams. Um, I'm going to, he was, remember last time we left off, he was going to be banished from Massachusetts in 1636. But he did not show up to be deported back to England, and a manhunt ensued for this, quote, dangerous criminal. He moved on to Plymouth, where he found more sympathizers, but Governor Winslow of Plymouth suggested he go further into Rhode Island. Roger Williams was welcomed by the Narragansett Indians, and Massasoit, their chief, agreed to sell Williams, his wife, and his two little children, and several of his followers, some land on the banks of the Sedunk River. He founded a colony which he called Providence. Then Roger Williams, the first missionary to the Native Americans, ahead of John Eliot, the first European to publish a primer on the Native American languages, the first statesman to defend Native American land rights, and the first American to be banished for his religious convictions, helped unite the Native American tribes against the Indian version of Attila the Hun, Sassacus, the chief of the Pequots. Sassacus was defeated by a combined force of Narragansetts and Mohegans under Miantamimo and Uncas. He then fled to the Mohawks, who promptly beheaded him, giving all of New England, European American and Native American, some peace for a time. For helping unite the Indians against a common enemy, Governor Winthrop sought to have Williams' ban lifted, but there's no record he ever returned to Massachusetts. In August of 1638, the people of Providence Plantation approved the first public document ever outside of the Bible establishing government without interference in religious matters. The Providence Compact, along with the Mayflower Compact, the Portsmouth Compact, and the later Rhode Island Charter, written by John Clark, were an important part of the basis, the foundation for the U.S. Constitution, the concept of separation of church and state, and our freedom of religion and from religious tyranny. With Roger Williams and part of his congregation baptizing each other as adult believers in Christ, they formed a church. Williams renounced his baptism a few months later, not being able to find a scriptural warrant for an unbaptized person baptizing anyone. Seemingly, Williams' later walk in faith was confused and uncertain. Historians themselves are confused and uncertain about what Williams truly believed. He was most certainly extremely anti-authority. Records also show that he was very forgiving of others' misdeeds, particularly those against himself. Without deifying Williams, let me just say that if being American is about freedom, liberty of conscience, the right to worship God as we deem correct without any interference or coercion from the government, then Roger Williams was the first American of many that would follow. That's all I'm going to do for today. We'll talk about up until 1638, there were four great settlements in New England, and we're going to talk about Dr. John Clark and his importance to religious liberty the next time. Thank you, and have a great day.